fucked up, we would hear stories from former roadies and promoters about how it became too much for them. Choking Victim is a band so storied that at times the mist can obscure the reality. This book pulls back the lore enough to expose the actualities of things. As much as it is about one of punk's wildest bands, it's also a story steeped in tragedy and triumph. It's the tale of a band whose sonic innovations have had worldwide reverberations, all while remaining brutally, uncompromisingly artistic. A couple of years ago, we got the chance to play with Leftöver Crack at the Bouncing Souls 30th anniversary show. I had known Brad Logan for a few years by that point, but had never had a chance to see them live. The show was fantastic. Sturgeon was on another level as a front person. After the show, I heard stories of an interband parking lot fight. No matter how much you try and separate the band's creative output from the strife, one has to understand how it informs the music. This is the reason why their music has always stood out. Leftover Crack's music is inseparable from the lives they lived. It is political and also intensely personal. Great artists bring you into their world. They live in their art to the point that they become indivisible from it. They allow viewers to journey inside. Few punk bands have lived their art more than Leftover Crack and showed the world a more orthodox version of the punk experience. Damian Abraham of Fucked Up Turned Out a Punk, May 2021. Prelude. Brad Logan, Hellcat employee. Guitar, Leftover Crack, F-. Sturgeon is curled up on a bench in Tompkins Square Park, and his face is covered in blood. He has a black eye. Drugs are spilling out of his pockets. I'm supposed to be Hellcat Records' A&R guy, and I'm supposed to be helping record Choking Victim's album, which we just started. Sturgeon looks up at me and mumbles, "I'm not recording today. I quit. I walked over to Squirt's house and he punched me. That's it. It's over." I am supposed to fly back to California and tell Tim Armstrong that we recorded the Choking Victim album and that it was amazing and everyone would love it. Instead, the band had gotten into a fistfight, the singer had gotten his ass kicked, and they were breaking up on the second day of recording. So much for being an A&R guy, I thought. How could anyone be in a band with these guys? How did I get in this situation? How could things get any worse? 1. Hellcat. Brad Logan. I was an errand boy for Hellcat Records, which was Tim Armstrong's label. That's Tim from Rancid. I'd been a roadie for Rancid for the past 3 years. I tuned guitars and set up band gear on stage. We were on tour continuously starting September 1995 with the Outcome the Wolves tour. Tim and I became pretty good friends and we got really close. One day Tim tells me, "I'm going to start a record label and I'm calling it Hellcat. I got this girl named The Wicks who's going to run it, and if you want, you can work there too between tours." I didn't think twice. I said, "Sounds like a great idea. Count me in." The Wicks, Hellcat employee number 2. Tim Armstrong was renegotiating a new record deal with Brett Gurewitz and had said that he'd stay with Epitaph if he could have his own label. He knew I worked for Moon Ska Records, and Vic Ruggiero had spoken highly of me. Tim had gotten to know me a little bit, so he asked if I would be interested in running a label. I asked him if I could sign bands that I liked, and he said, "Well, yeah." Tim is a really gracious guy, and he's really open. What I saw and learned a lot from him was a lot of humility and respect to everyone. He believed in me. Tim and I discussed it. We wanted the bands to have full artistic control, but we wanted to get them out there, and Epitaph had Sony distribution across the world. Charlie Ackerman, Hellcat employee number 3. At Epitaph Records, I did publicity, I did marketing, and I did a magazine. Then when I worked at Hellcat Records, I was the number 3 employee, and the Wicks was number 2, before Chris Lascelles. Everyone at Hellcat was really tight-knit. I was 14 years old when I started there, and I was 16 when I met Brad Logan. I literally grew up at Epitaph Records. It was my high school and college. Christina White, Epitaph Records, Radio and Publicity Department. I think that Charlie Ackerman was one of the first people to have inside knowledge at the label. Charlie was a teenager. He was Brett's cousin or nephew or some shit. That motherfucker was like 15 or 16 years old, rolling around with